First and foremost, I'm going to show you the parts of the microtome. The microtome is used to cut very thin sections of tissue off of a tissue sample that has been embedded in wax. So this is a tissue block. First and foremost, this tissue block would be inserted into the block holder. So this is where the block holder would go. Then after that, this is the knife holder right here. There's a lever, and the knife would be inserted in this area right, and then it would be clamped down. On the side that you don't see is the angle of the block holder. This angle has an optimal angle that comes from the manufacturer, and most of them it's going to be about 5 degrees. Some of them it's going to be more or less. The area here is a clamp that is used to allow for the entire area to move back and forth, the entire knife area to move back and forth. And it clamps down. It must be clamped down, otherwise you'll have vibrations when you're trying to cut your tissue sample. On this side, you will see the a flywheel. We call it a flywheel, or just a handle, or just a wheel. And it does a 360-degree revolution of the block holder. So you will see it come all the way down, and you will see it go all the way in the 360 degrees. This allows for consistent cutting of the block. And it has a lock on it on the side that allows for this not to come down if it's unlocked. If it's unlocked and if you push too hard, it could allow for this to fall, and if there's a knife right here, it can definitely cut what shouldn't be cut. Like, it could give you a cut on your hand. On this side is what we call the coarse wheel, and this one allows for this entire area of the block holder to move forwards or backwards. Backwards away from the knife, or forwards towards the knife. And these are just some of the areas of the microtome. And again, I will demonstrate how to insert the blade. So the blades come in these holders. One blade comes out at a time. Again, there's a very sharp edge to it that must go up. The blade goes into a small crevice that's there, and then it is placed into its position. So just to demonstrate a different kind of microtome, this is a different manufacturer. It's a Thermo Fisher. Block holder is the same. The knife holder, the other one had a lever on the side. This one has a lever down on the bottom, but it works exactly the same. The blade would go right in through here, and you would tighten it or loosen it with this right here with the lever down on the bottom. The microtome or the micron meters are down on the side as opposed to up at the top. So again, you would place it at the correct microns. The flywheel works exactly the same, but this one, it still goes 360, but the locking mechanism is on the actual wheel itself. The knife holder moves backwards and forwards on this one too, but it has much less of a range on it. It doesn't move as much as the other one does, so that's a little bit different. The coarse wheel on this one tends to be very temperamental, and this is what I mean by temperamental. If you can hear that scratching noise, you have to have the wheel in a specific position in order to allow for the flywheel to move backwards and advance the block backwards or forwards. So again, this is just a little bit different than the other one. This is just kind of to show you that there is variations. The end result is the same. We should get a tissue section, but some of the equipment is a little bit different to work with. Some people love this one, some people love the other one, and there's a ton of other variations to it. So to clean up your microtome area after you are done with the tissue sectioning, it is extremely important that first and foremost you take out the blade and get rid of it. Dispose it in a biohazard red container for sharps, or some people put it in the back of the container where the slides came or the blades came, and then the entire thing gets put into the red sharps container. The other thing to do is make sure that, just to make sure that everything is clear, there's no blade. I always make sure that the wheel is locked in place. What you do next is we're going to clean off all the paraffin that we have created, the cut paraffin. We use a beautiful little brush. It looks like a cosmetic brush, but it isn't. You brush it all off. You're going to break down some of this. This is where knowing what triggers what and allows you to loosen it. We take it all off. And then I clean the back of it. I clean the sides of it, make sure that everything is out of the way. Again, this is why there is no blade, because you want to make sure that you don't cut yourself. I take a piece of gauze and I clean the handle, make sure I get all the paraffin off of it. I clean the sides. I clean the table. Again, I'm getting rid of all the paraffin that has been left behind. 2 reasons for doing that. One is in case somebody's going to come behind you, they don't want to see your mess. They want to make sure that it's all been cleaned up. And 2, the cleaner your microtome is, the less cross-contamination you can have from any tissue samples. So we always want to start our day off with cleaning, with a clean microtome. Once we clean everything off, some people use some solvents to clean it. Good old elbow grease will work just as well. So again, make sure everything is clean. Make sure everything is come off. Make sure that everything is clean. I put it back. Then I clean the front part. There we go. Once it sits in place, you can lock it back into place. I always put the knife holder back up. And then what we do too is we take our trash can. And because everything has been fixed in this particular specimen, everything has gone through multitude of processes where everything has been killed off. There is no contaminants. We can actually put the residuals in the trash can because it's no longer a hazard. Then again, I clean everything off. I clean the tray. You make sure that the tray is nice and clean. Then we clean off. The next thing that we do, once we're done here, we make sure that our water bath is nice and clean. The way you clean the tissue samples off of the water bath is you take a chem wipe and you skim across the water. You get all that residuals off. You would turn off your water bath. You would take the water and you would dump it in a sink, and then you would unplug everything and make sure that all of the areas around the water bath are clean. Clean all your area, wipe it back down, make sure everything's nice and clean, put away all your tools, and make sure that everything's ready for the next day. Always put your lid back on the slide so that nothing is gets a lot of dust on it. Otherwise you'll have dusty slides and it's very frustrating. And that's pretty much a sample of how you would clean up for the day. So just to reiterate, this is what I want to see at the end of each day. Everything back in its place and organized and ready to go for the next day. Everything covered. Always cover your microtome again to avoid a lot of dust. Always cover your water bath to avoid also a lot of dust accumulation. Always make sure that your sharp containers are ready to go and that they're not completely full. We keep a water bottle there to fill up or take out some water. And again, everything must be put away in your drawers and everything should be good to go for the next day. Nice and clean.